Welcome to Life Mastery Radio with Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey, the show that dives into the science of higher consciousness with inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. Join Todd, Jackie, and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. It's all right here with stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Now, here's your hosts, Todd and Jackie.
And hey, it's another groovy day, and most of you know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. That's because I make it that way. Before I start my day, before I get out of bed, I already decide. And I've been doing this for so long, it's like automatic now. I just get up and I'm already feeling groovy. That song's in my head and I'm looking for the mailbox, right? You can do it too. If you start your day with some kind of affirmation or some kind of high energy, get yourself going, it paves the way for the rest of the day. I'm telling you. And I'm sure that our guest today would agree with that because I heard her say it. And that's why I'm so energized about it. It's also a groovy day because I get to hang out with my really cool friend, Jackie Bailey. Hi, Jackie.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to February.
Yeah, it's February 1st. And it's groovy because it's Life Mastery Radio Day. Life Mastery Radio is the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And Jackie and I spend a lot of time scouring, looking all over for people that are on the cutting edge of their own becoming, and they are willing to push you off your edge. I'm not kidding. They will do that. You won't get hurt. I promise. You won't get hurt. But you will find a different life and a life that is fulfilling and successful. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Right, Jackie?
Absolutely. We've got some great things cooking, always cooking here at Life Mastery Radio. And
you have some. What?
I said, we always have the best guests.
Oh, truly. This is a favorite day of the week for me. There's a couple reasons for that. And it's just like I've already said, it's just, Life Mastery Radio Day. Yeah. But you have some cool things going. You have 3 of your students headed to a TEDx.
Yes, they had I submitted about 5 potential speakers for a TEDx event that's happening for youth here in our local area of Seattle area, and this is actually in Bellevue. And I know the organizer. I actually was an event manager for one of the TEDx's that she did back in October. And so she contacted me and said, hey, we want some kids on this stage. You got any? And I said, do I? Sure. So, so we submitted, not really applications, but we got on with her and she interviewed some of my kids, and she's chosen 3 of them. 3 of them made it through. They're going to be on the TEDx stage on April 7th in this local area. So cool. And so now the work fun begins in getting them ready and helping them to just feel confident and valued. Let's see. We've got Srinika, who is 11, and Uma, who's just about 12. And then we have Samuel, he's 15. So we got a little bit of an age range, but they're young kids, and they have amazing messages.
And these kids aren't from this area. I mean, this is
Srinika and Uma are from this area. Samuel is actually in Hawaii. So we're gonna put a fundraiser together to try to get him here.
Not try. You will for sure.
So at least he and one parent can get here in April, and but they all have these amazing messages, and I'm just so grateful to be able to help them get this out there in the world and let everybody hear their amazing voices. So
that is incredible.
It's good street cred too, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I don't know.
Oh, that is so cool. Jackie has grown so much. I've watched her just blossom, and it's just been really cool. And I'm truly impressed, Jackie.
Thank you.
I want to remind our listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.com. You can go there, and any links that we talk about will be right there while you're there. Sign up for our newsletter. Jackie creates a newsletter once a week, and it highlights who's been on the show, who's coming on the show, and of course the blog post about the most recent show. So it's all things Life Mastery Radio with some links, and yeah, you can stay up to date. So it's pretty cool. Both of our books, well, she has 6 books now. I only have 1, but links. If you just Google Jackie Bailey, you'll come up with something. I'm telling you right now. She's all over.
And hopefully no one's caught me in uncompromising conditions.
I doubt it. I
Yeah.
All righty. I think
good.
that gets the show
Get down
started,
to
or
it.
at least
I
gets it
know.
pumped up. And our Dr. Amanda guest is Jackie's guest. So guess what? Jackie gets to introduce her. Take it away.
I know it's going to be a great show because we're going to be talking about manifesting and magnetism and making money and all that stuff. So Dr. Amanda Berrientez is known as the Mindset Healer. She's the founder of Inner Power Daily, an international best-selling author, and the host of the top 2% globally rated podcast called Inner Power Entrepreneur. After going from food stamps to building a 6-figure business fast, she's been on a quest to teach entrepreneurs and business professionals science-based strategies to reprogram their energy, mindset, and habits so they can get what they want in life and business. Dr. Amanda's superpower is helping you get unstuck, get aligned, and get what you want by tapping into your inner power. So her book is titled, I Am a Money Magnet, the top 30 money-making affirmantras. I had to practice it. Affirmantras to manifest more is a 30-day guide to manifesting money more easily. By diving deep into your subconscious beliefs, you will permanently transform your money mindset and learn to become a money magnet with a sense of financial empowerment. Woohoo! Are you ready to be empowered today? Welcome, Dr. Amanda. It's great to have you with us.
Can I just bring you everywhere with me to introduce me? That was great.
Good.
That was awesome.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I meant every word and every tone of my voice. It's really exciting to have you here because I, for one, I'm new to the idea of manifesting and co-creating my life and that kind of thing. And so what you have to say, I think is going to be so valuable, not only to me, but to everyone listening. So why don't we start from this food stamps place? Or it sounds like
wait.
Okay, Todd, what do you want to do?
Something hit me during your awesome introduction.
Okay.
I
it
heard
wasn't
this.
Me. I'm not anywhere near you to hit you.
I heard this word manifestation. You know what ricocheted off my head? Womanifestation. Right? Don't we have to have that nowadays?
We do.
That.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just started a whole new brand, Todd.
I know, it ricocheted right around in my head. I was like, what was that? But that's kind of cool.
We just want to make sure it's not woman infestation.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's a bad thing either. It's just
I was trying to play with that word in my head to make sure it came out right.
That's great. Yeah.
So, Amanda, it sounds like you've been down on your luck, perhaps more than a couple of times. And so maybe that's a good place to start with how you do what you do today, or we'll start wherever you feel is appropriate.
Yeah, let's start here. I always like to ask everyone who's listening or watching first to think about how many times you already thought about money today. If you get conscious and you just slow down and go, how many times did I think about money today already? So, at the time of this recording, it's 10 a.m. for me. And this morning when I was journaling, I was writing out my February goals. So money was very much on my mind. And then, for some people, it's like when they go to drop their kids at school and there's that fee that they've got to pay, or there's a birthday party coming up, or there's a new business expense, or, the bills it's a new month of bills. We think about money so frequently. And so one of the reasons I love working with entrepreneurs, really coaches specifically, is that there are a lot of money blocks that stop them from getting where they want to go. And I really discovered this through my work of breaking through my own blocks. And it started by being on food stamps. So the backstory of becoming an entrepreneur was that I had left my 15-year marriage having an affair. My next relationship wasn't working. So I was a real wreck in relationships, like had a big history of codependency and a lot of issues. And here I am on the floor crying one night because my boyfriend had moved all of his stuff out of the basement. And so I'm looking at this empty basement. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, my life is a total wreck. And who is going to come save me? Because I'm on food stamps. I looked in Craigslist all day for places to live. I couldn't afford anywhere to move with me and my 3 kids. And I'm in grad school. I already have 2 jobs and I'm already on food stamps. So I'm like, okay, I'm in trouble. Like, what am I going to do? So I'm feeling really sorry for myself. And I was scared. And I was thinking, I have no one, like no one's going to come rescue me out of this. And I was scanning my history. I thought, you know, who can I blame? Like, what's the problem here? And I realized it's me. Like, oh, I am the common denominator in every scenario of my life. There I am. And I realized I got to change. Like, I am tired of this. And at the time I didn't know, you know, I'd heard the word declaration, but I didn't know I was making a declaration, but I made a declaration in this moment. And I said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to start having better relationships and make more money because I am tired of this. Like, I don't want to be broken down like this anymore. I'm a smart person. Why can't I figure this out? You know, I'm in a PhD program. Like I got to be able to figure this out. And so I started listening to podcasts. And what was so amazing about that was that, you know, I'd listen on the go when I was walking to school or washing the dishes, taking my kids to school. And I started to change. Like, I really started to change my mindset and I started implementing what I was learning. And I started to teach differently and relate to my kids differently and relate to people differently. And while this was happening, so, you know, tying back to manifestation and the way that the universe works, when you make a decision and it's clear, you will be led on the way. You don't have to know the way, it will show up for you. And I was clear, like, I am ready to change. So while this was going on, my department had this national news fallout where professors were leaving, people were stressed. And I was like, I don't want to be a professor anymore. This looks really stressful. And so that's the path I'd been on for a long time. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, all these podcasts that I'm listening to are done by coach type entrepreneurs. And I love teaching. So what if I became a coach and started my own podcast? And so I decided, you know, I'm going to finish my PhD program and then take the leap into entrepreneurship. And in that first year, I went from food stamps to 6 figures. And on that journey, I radically transformed my money mindset and my belief in myself. I worked through my codependency issues. And so today I get to work with other coaches, helping them get to 6 figures in their business. I have a happy marriage. I'm great friends with my ex-husband. Like, my life is really good because I changed from the inside out and changed my reality. And so now I love to teach people the strategies to do that so they can, you know, manifest what they desire.
That's amazing. And so you started a podcast first? Is that basically the first step you took in your business?
I started at the same time that I started my business. Yeah. It was a month after I officially went full-time coaching, I started my podcast.
And you've been doing it ever since?
Yes, except for a 10-month break where I thought I was going to be a YouTuber and I hated it. And then my people were like, where did you go? We're not on YouTube. Come back to podcasting. So I have a 10-month break in my podcast where I did a talk show on YouTube and I was miserable. It wasn't miserable. I loved the interview part, but the video part for me, I didn't enjoy as much. I'm like, I don't like this. And I teach people to do what they love to manifest easier money. So when I'd sit at the camera and dread it, I'm like, this isn't going to work. So I came back to podcasting, and it's been amazing to have rapid growth of the podcast since that return to podcasting.
Good for you.
So if you thought back a little bit, what was your biggest revelation based on that transformation? What was the one thing that really opened you up to the universe?
You know, I would say it's about realizing that you're the creator of your reality. So letting go of victim-mindedness and deciding to become radically responsible. So I was really stuck in blaming other people for my life. You know, it was like blaming my parents and blaming being a Native American and blaming growing up and being a first-gen college student. And then, you know, my ex-husband, I blamed for a lot of things. Like, I was in a blame. Like, it's everyone else's fault that I'm getting the reality I am. And when I realized that it was me and I started taking responsibility, that's when I started to become empowered. And, you know, it's why I love the word power, because for me, it went from feeling very powerless to then learning tools and really applying universal principles and going, oh, there are rules to the game of life. And if you apply them, you can win and feel powerful. And that blew my mind because we don't teach that anywhere in school.
It's not, you know, Jackie did something really cool about a year ago, I think. And she wrote a Dear John letter to Black.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes, breaking up with you, Lack.
I'm breaking up with you, Lack. Yes. I have no more.
I love that. I do. It's similar. I have people write money stories and also love letters to money, where they write the letter of how their relationship currently is, and then a love letter, like how they choose for it to be. And it's very similar, because we can get really stuck in scarcity mindedness, right? And it's just a lack thinking.
Yeah,
that's a great idea, Jackie.
Yeah, and you can have these bad relationships with money where it feels like a chain around your ankle and you're dragging it along with you all the time, rather than this is a tool that's working for me, right?
Yeah.
And it is a shift that you have to make in order to do that. So where in the process did you write your book? Was that near the beginning as well then?
No, I just wrote that a year ago. So I'm 6 years into business, starting in January this year. And
congratulations.
Thank you. I worked with a lot of different types of entrepreneurs of all different income levels. And when I started my business, the reason that I started doing money stories was because I had gone to this workshop and we decided, I was like, oh, let's do a wealth building mastermind group. And I had everyone in that group write money stories, and we all had these major transformations. And so when I brought clients on, my very first clients, I all had them write money stories. And it was wild because I started to see patterns across every type of person, the same patterns. I was like, whoa, it doesn't matter if you're making $1 million or not making any money at all. They have the same patterns. And it blew my mind, because I always had this kind of unicorn belief about wealthy people. I was like, oh, if you're making a lot of money, everything in life is awesome.
Yeah.
You have no problems. And so I started working with a lot of wealthy people, and I was like, oh, money doesn't solve your problems. It's your mindset around money. And for me, it really helps me understand people's unconscious belief system, because the way that you feel and think about money is a representation of outer world material. And so when we manifest, your inner world creates your outer world. It's a reflection of it. And so your money and the way you feel and think about money is a reflection of your inner world subconscious thinking. So when I have a client write a money story, it's really easy for me to see what their blocks are. And I can just go oh, and I bet you can map this onto the way you think about business and the way you think about relationships. And this is something that's keeping you stuck. And so it's an easy point for me to see stuckness in people.
That thought of lack, it really is a sticker, isn't it? I mean, that's where people get stuck. I was taught the only difference between $1 and $1 million is a bunch of zeros. So you can make $1, or you can spend 10 minutes making $1, or you can spend 10 minutes making $1 million. The principles and the process is the same.
Yeah, it is. And that matches so well to what we were talking about, where it's it doesn't matter what level of money you're making, you still have the same issues at the core of you, because it's all about be, do, have. So your state of being is what shows up in your outer world. Whether you are homeless or a multi-millionaire, your state of being is what's causing you to be in the state that you're in. And so, it's you could have a mega mansion and perception to everybody else of having a great life, but you might be miserable on this inside, lonely, not taking care of your health, relationships falling apart. Money isn't the solution. Also, I love to have this thought similarly, where I go to people hey, who here wants to be financially free? 100% of people will raise their hand, right? And then I say, okay, you can do that right now. Literally right now, you can be financially free. Sell everything, go get a sleeping bag and live under a bridge. You're financially free. Right? So the truth is, it's not financial freedom you want. It's the choices to do what you want with your time. And that in this society that we've created requires money. And so it's getting clear on what it is you actually want. It's not really the financial freedom. It's the things you can buy with financial freedom.
Yeah. But your book would have, from the front cover, would make me believe it is really just about money principles. But do you also go into these ideas about relationships and the blame game and that kind of thing? And it's a 30-day guide. So what do you help people walk through in 30 days? Because that's a pretty short period of time, I would imagine.
Yeah. You could probably I've spent years on the things that are in that book. It starts with my formula, which is called the Inner Power Formula. So it's a subconscious reprogramming tool, which how to access the law of attraction powerfully is by reprogramming your subconscious mind. because what you attract and magnetize to you is coming to you from your state of being, and your state of being is your thoughts, your feelings, and your belief system. And so if you, let's say that 5% of you goes, I want to be financially free. That's the conscious part of you that says that. The subconscious part of you is going to be what you attract your way. And so let's say the subconscious part of you is like, but I failed before. I don't know how to do it. I'm not good at managing money. Oh, my ex took all my wealth, like on and on and on, right? And so now you've got all those beliefs battling against each other. So the only way to actually change is to change your subconscious programming. So this book is about changing your subconscious programming. So my inner power formula is 3 steps to recognize, reframe, repeat, to reprogram. The whole book helps you do that. And it's 30 days to repeat, because you can get some pretty big transformation in 30 days. So it's got 100 journaling questions to help you break through your subconscious money blocks and then start to reprogram yourself. In 30 days, I think it's really funny how we all want a quick win pill,
Gotta have it now. Well, we're in that world, right?
Yeah,
We can have anything from anywhere the next day, pretty much.
Totally. It's like microwave mentality.
Yeah. I mean, that's just that's our reality these days, is everything's got to be quick. I can listen to a podcast and be a millionaire the next day.
Which, it's cool. You can listen to a podcast and get an idea that leads you to millions. If you don't take action on it, it doesn't work. And you've got to really believe it's possible. And when you believe it's possible, you will take action, because action is evidence of belief, which means that you will stay on course persistently for the long haul. It won't matter if it takes a year or 5 or 6. Like, I look at my business and I go, okay, I went from food stamps to 6 figures in the first year. I've made over $500,000 since I started my business. I'm on my way to 7 figures. Let's say it takes me, we're aiming for $100,000 a month this year. By the end of the year, we're like, okay, we want 100K a month, and then we'll be set up for the next year for 7-figure business. That'd be 7 years. If you go from food stamps to 7 figures in 7 years, is that worth it? Absolutely. So no, did it take me 30 days to get there? Definitely not. But it planted the seeds, right? And I started in the path for that. So anyone listening or watching right now, like, you can dramatically transform yourself very quickly. It takes burning desire to change. And if you're too comfortable, you're probably not going to do it, because we're animals and we live by the pleasure pain principle. That's why when most people, you hear all these success stories like rags to riches, the reason that works is because they were freaking uncomfortable.
Well, desperation is our greatest motivator. And just in your story, you hear desperation. It worked for me to get me off alcohol. I mean, it's that desperation that leads to radical change. And I've always thought, I'm going to stand on my soapbox and tell everybody about that. But it's more of an act that we have to live through, but we don't have to live through it. I don't want to go there, but it's truly amazing how desperation works in our lives.
I love that. I just wrote down, because it's so powerful. It's desperation leads to desire. And it's the desire to get something different because you're in so much pain. And what's really cool is, like, I teach the upward spiral growth trajectory. So you have to have the down to get to the next up. It's not possible to just go straight line. It's not like, I'm going to start my business and everything is awesome every day and there is no downside. That's not realistic. It's upward spiral. So to get to the next evolution of yourself, you got to go through the next down. The difference that I've noticed between being like down and out and terrified for how I'm going to feed my kids to like now I choose the down. So I choose when I'm going to like go, okay, I'm like, last year I took a huge hit in my revenue to revamp things. And so I chose that down strategically. So as you become more tooled and resourced, you can choose the down instead of having it feel like, I don't know if I can swear here, but I is it okay to say the S? I'll say S, like I'll say crap, a crap storm, right? Like It's, instead of feeling like you're just on the downward spiral or there's a crap storm coming to you at all points in time. Now, when you learn law of attraction strategies to be on the up, now you choose your challenges. And that way you feel more in control of your reality instead of feeling like something outside of you is controlling you.
There's so many powerful words that I'm hearing you say, because I'm hearing you say this desire. So, okay, so you can have this desire, like you say, most people would raise their hand. Yeah, I want to make $1 million, or I want to have financial freedom, or blah, 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 right? There's this desire. Definitely not enough though, because then when you said action is the proof of
Action is
belief
evidence
or
of belief.
something, evidence
Yep.
of belief. There you go. I was trying to find the word. And so that means, okay, I got to do something about this. I can't just sit around and hope for it and send my desire out. You've got to do something. So when is mindset, it obviously isn't enough to just have a change of mindset, but you do have to have an emotional feeling. Like I've heard people say, you almost have to feel what it's going to be like to have what you want. So there is this sense of emotion that's attached to the action. So you kind of act like you're living in the future that the way you want it, but you also have to feel what that feels like to have that. And that's perhaps together is what creates the change.
You got it. So here's
Okay.
how manifestation works. It's 2 elements. Manifestation, all it means is your conscious desire to attract and accomplish a goal. That's what manifesting is, right?
Okay.
It's just goal accomplishment. So that's one side of it. The magnetism is what you're talking about, which is what magnetizes and attracts to you based on your state of being, which is an emotion. The way you feel attracts to you. So the problem with most people and what they're attracting is that they think that they are desiring the wealth, but what they're really desiring is, let's say, to get out of debt. And their focused attention is more on the debt than the wealth. So they attract more to be indebted to unconsciously. And so that's why you've got to start really stepping into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, because that's what you're talking about. Step into the feeling of the wish fulfilled to attract it to you. But what most people are doing is focusing on the lack, not the gain. They're focusing on the fear, not the success and the flow.
Right.
They're focusing on not enoughness instead of like, oh, it's possible to just take one step in the direction of my wealth. Instead, they're focusing on being afraid of the lack. And so that's why most people are unsuccessful because, again, I could say to everyone here, raise your hand if you want to be independently wealthy and financially free. Everyone would raise their hand. 1 or 2% of people are. And that's exactly why, because they are focusing on the lack more than the gain.
Right. Yes. I learned that lesson too, probably within the last year where, the income was on this down slope. And as much as I kept trying to think positively about it, I realized that at one point I had stopped thinking more about the mission that I had to empower people with their voice, especially the kids. And I just got to make money. I just got to have enough money this month to pay this or to pay that. And when I realized that is what's working against me, is that I stopped focusing on the mission and why I'm doing this in the first place, because I let the worry of money coming in distract me from that. So I understand exactly what you're saying, and it does require that, okay, I got to be in the future. I got to actually feel like it's going to feel when I have what I want, because what I have, what I want will be there, right? I mean, it's hard to really explain until you've actually experienced it. But now that I've experienced it, I go, yeah, okay, I get it now. So yeah, I'm so glad that you're helping people to do that, because it does affect everything. It's not just the finances, but it does affect everything in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Well, maybe speak to, there's another key word that you just briefly mentioned, and that's belief. Maybe you could speak to that element that helps set up that desire. And it's an internal belief that this is possible, and not a lack of believing that it's possible.
Let's break down a really simple thing here, because you started it with affirmations, and I talk about affirmantras in my book. That's affirmantras, the way that I describe them in the book. I made up this word because I thought, okay,
I love that.
What it does is, like, you must repeat affirmative statements. And what's most important for people to take away is that you can't repeat affirmative statements that you don't believe to yourself, because that causes resistance. So most people use affirmations completely wrong. And what they're doing is actually pushing away, because the number one reason you don't manifest instantaneously is resistance. And resistance shows up as a lack of belief, fear, doubt, uncertainty, shame, guilt, anything that's not high vibrational frequency. And so when you say something to yourself you don't believe to be true, you're creating resistance. So I teach people in my book how to use affirmantra statements. So they're starter statements that you say at the beginning of the affirmantra, where your subconscious mind is like, yes, that's true, instead of no, you're full of crap. So let's say an example here. Let's say that you want to build a 6-figure business. And you go, I am a 6-figure business owner. I am a 6-figure business owner. And you don't believe it. Your subconscious is going, you're full of crap. You don't know what you're doing. You've never done it before. Like, that's not possible.
Right.
It kicks it out. And actually, it's not even just neutral. It's not that it kicks out. It actually causes resistance, which actually makes it even harder than if you didn't do the affirmation at all.
Right.
And so I teach people to say, I am learning how to be a 6-figure entrepreneur. I'm committed to being a 6-figure entrepreneur. I am open to being a 6-figure entrepreneur. I am so starter statements are so important. So I teach starter statements in my book and how to play with those to get yourself to go on the way to getting there. Because notice when you say something, I am blank, when you're actually that thing, you don't need to say anymore that you are that thing. You've already owned it, right? So you need to say things that are actually on the way to becoming that thing, to teach yourself in your system to start feeling it. So it's like, ooh, I'm learning to do what it takes to be a 6-figure entrepreneur. I'm learning how to be a better manager of my money. I'm learning the tricks and skills to get to 6 figures as a coach. I'm learning how to be whatever it is, right? So you play with starter statements, and now your brain goes, oh yeah. And it gets inspired, and you raise your vibrational frequency, which then puts that into the quantum field and then can attract back to you the reality that you're saying, instead of pushing away and attracting to you the lack of what you're saying.
It's about being honest with yourself too, because if those statements are literally not true, if you're staring at your bank account and going, I'm a 6-figure, business owner, but you're not, it's like you said, it brings up that conflict in your mind and in your heart, and it's going to probably undermine what you're trying to do. So
exactly.
I love the idea of having those statements that are true. I am learning how to be, or I am open to being. Now it's a true statement, right?
Exactly.
So there's no conflict. There's no conflict.
Yeah.
I've never come across that before, Amanda. I think that's really cool. Is that something you developed?
Yeah. Yep. I played with
beginner
it
statement.
So
the beginner
much.
Statement. I like it.
Which is funny because in the book, I'm a money magnet. When I heard I'm a money magnet, it was so playful to me. So, like, I heard it in a workshop. Someone said, I'm a money magnet. I was like, I love that. And so I started saying, I would find a penny and I'd say, I'm a money magnet. Everything I touch turns to gold. So for me, it started with that, but I believed it. I was like, ooh, I'm going to start being magnetic to money. And then as I started working with people and playing with programming the subconscious mind, I was like, you can't just say things that aren't true. Exactly like you were saying, Jackie, you're lying to yourself. So, and that doesn't work. And so I started playing with like, well, what could I say that is true? How could I say it on the way to being true? And it really worked. And, in subconscious reprogramming, you always it's useful to hear the things you want to say to yourself, because that's showing you where you want to go. So when you say, I am a 6-figure business owner, and you don't believe it, it does tell you you have the desire to be a 6-figure business owner. So you could even say, I desire to be a 6-figure business owner. That's true. Right? At least then you're awakening the desire. Desire is a magnetic force. Desire is a creation force. And so you just want to start playing with saying things that are uplifting to you. And you'll know the difference by when you're done with a session of repeating it, whether you feel inspired or whether you feel doubt-filled and dreadful. So, and you'll know. And like when you do affirmantras in your journal, so I teach journaling strategies mixed with affirmantras, and when you end a session, you will feel higher vibe. You're like, I'm ready to kickstart the day. I feel like I love the way you opened the episode, Todd. It was like you were talking about the morning and starting the day in a way where you're like, today's going to be an awesome day. Like, you're designing your life. So design it from a place of joy and inspiration, and everything positive will magnetize you, not only with money, but within relationships and in opportunities for your business to grow, in your health and your well-being, like that holistic picture of what wealth actually means, which is a combination of health and well-being. That's what the word wealth means. And that doesn't just include the money in your bank account. That includes a holistic picture of everything in your life feeling good.
Mm-hmm. So now you've mentioned sessions. So when you are doing these affirmantras, is this during a meditation session, or is this something that you're doing while you're journaling, or what are these sessions that you mentioned look like?
So I do these myself, and I have a law of attraction for entrepreneurs program. So, and everyone can get a free trial to do exactly what I'm talking about. It's meant to be done in 15 minutes a day. So it's like a morning routine to use the law of attraction to your benefit as an entrepreneur. So if they just go to lawofattractionforentrepreneurs.com, 7-day free trial. So I teach a little lesson for specific to entrepreneurs. So it's about 6-minute lesson on a topic that we go 5 topics every week. And then you do a very short meditation and then an affirmantra and a journaling question. And so they're all related and integrated. So you're doing this session where you're just writing out that day's focus and using a specific affirmantra to up-level your vibrational frequency.
Wow. Okay.
It's really
and
fun.
Start over.
Yep. And it's a different one every day. So I do Monday through Friday. We do on Mondays, it's inner power. Tuesdays is win-win relationships. Wednesdays is money mastery. Thursdays is business growth. Fridays is vision and goals. And then we do a book club that's related to mastering yourself. I love the name of your show, Life Mastery. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
So you have a community then that meets on a regular basis to continue doing
It's audio. It's like a paid for podcast so that they can do it on their own time. Yep. And then we have a once a month live master class for that program. And it's, this is something, for everyone to hear. Play to your strengths. When you are building a business, you want to know your genius and you want to play to your strengths because that's what's the most magnetic to money. So, when I was revamping my business this round, I was like, what do I absolutely love doing? Podcasting. How can I make money podcasting? Let's do a paid for podcast course. That's what the Law of Attraction for Entrepreneurs program is. It's a paid podcast because I love podcasting. I make those lessons. I mean, we're talking like I make 24 lessons a month in that course. That's as much as some people podcast in an entire year,
Right.
And I do that every month because I love it. It's magnetic. It's fun for me. So, whatever you do that's fun for you is going to be the most magnetic to money. And so as an entrepreneur, you want to choose things that are in your zone of genius, that are easy for you. You don't want to do the things that people just told you should do to make money. You want to do things that you go, oh, I like to do this. And you want to think the long game. Like entrepreneurship is a long game. If you're building a business that you want to bring you long-term wealth, it's not going to happen overnight. So you better be choosing something that you enjoy doing because then you'll take repeated action, right?
Yeah. Well, what if you don't like doing your books?
Delegate it.
That's my problem.
That's what I was just going to bring up because I was listening to some of the interviews that you've done on other podcasts, and I learned you and Jackie have something really big in common. You both love acronyms. You have this acronym for DAD. Maybe you could go over that.
Oh, yes.
Because you just kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yep. So to get into your zone of genius and be the most magnetic to money, you want to drop, automate, delegate. So drop, automate, delegate. And I like to teach people how to do a list. So what you do in this list is you just write down everything you do. Let's say on the left-hand side, you write down everything you do in a week or a month. Sometimes I have people do this for a quarter. And so you write down everything. And then next to it, you write like love, hate, or somewhere in the middle. And then you write, if I don't enjoy doing this, when am I going to drop, automate, or delegate it? And so it's the DAD list. And it is I've done this with like high power CEOs. I've done it with startup coaches. I've done it with myself. It works so well because all of a sudden you start to realize how much time you spend on things you don't enjoy,
right?
Which is why you are not making money. If you're doing stuff you don't enjoy doing, you are resisting the flow. And that's causing your work to be harder, which feeds your money block belief that money is hard to make, that you've got to work hard to make money because it does feel hard when you're doing stuff you don't enjoy doing. And so you're just feeding that belief system, which is going to keep recreating it. So you've got to learn to drop, automate, delegate.
I learned that a long time ago. I have a business 25 years now. It's a machine shop. And I started it because I was really good with machines. It was like I was a machine whisperer. They told me what was wrong with them and I could fix them, but I didn't know anything about accounting, right? And so I had to learn accounting and everything about it and the books and da 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 da. And I soon came to understand I don't like that stuff. I really don't. And so I hired it out. And then I was able to focus on machine whispering or fixing and helping customers with their machines. And it's worked ever since. So
I love that terminology, machine whisperer. And you're so right. this is what I think people often freak out about is like, oh, but I've got all these things to do and I've only got so much money. But when you free up your time to do the things you're good at, then you make more money.
It is kind of a catch-22, right? I mean, I've heard Jackie say it and I've heard my girlfriend say it, oh, I really love to hire somebody to do this, but I just can't afford it. And I'm like, well, if you're in the flow or you're in the groove, it's going to pay for itself, because it's just that much more that you're able to focus on what you love to do. And you've got the energy of a second person supporting.
So does that mean then that it's okay to maybe put aside or ignore for a little while the things that you don't like to do, to focus on those things that do bring you happiness in order to now allow for that to be automated or to be,
I wouldn't say that is a great question. Don't ignore your money ever, because you're sending the signal that you don't care about it. And now you're not going to attract it. If you're in a relationship with money and you go like, oh, I'm just going to pretend you don't exist and act like you're not there, then your money's going to run away because it doesn't think you care about it. And so what you appreciate. So I would say, this is why I say a drop, automate, delegate. The things you're dropping are things that are not essential. We waste a lot of time in business doing things that we don't need to be doing. And so you want to have the list of like, is this getting a result? If it's not getting a result, why am I doing it? Right. So there are a lot of things business owners can drop. I help people drop. I mean, they free up 25% of their time very quickly, because they're like, whoa, I'm doing all this stuff I've been told I should do, but it's not moving the needle forward. Why am I doing it? So that's a drop thing. And automate would be, how can you create systems? So let's say in bookkeeping, it could be setting up your books to automatically download into QuickBooks, so that when you go to do your books, it takes 5 minutes or 20 minutes instead of 6 hours, right? So automation systems in this scenario. And then delegate would be, get creative. Find a bookkeeper who's just starting out. Find a bookkeeper who's getting trained in college and wants to put a line on their resume. Like, you don't have to always even pay for delegation. Sometimes you can get creative. And so, the things that are essential, you don't want to ignore. Never ignore things that are essential to the business growth. Drop the things that are inessential, automate everything you can, delegate away the rest of the things. And I like to teach people delegation in stages of business. So like when you're in a startup phase or pre-6-figure phase, delegate to people who can do it about 80% as good as you do. That'll work. When you get to the higher levels of business, hire the experts to do it. Pay the money for the experts, because they will dramatically increase your business growth rapidly.
That's a big ego hurdle, right? I mean, because the idea is that you hire people smarter than you.
Yeah, it is. And that's hard for entrepreneurs, because they're like, I can do it all. Often, like, I can do it all. That's a money block. It's a block, because you are capping your growth based on your lowest common denominator of yourself. And you can't be good at everything. You shouldn't want to be good at everything. It's like when we say niche down, you niche down because you're niching into who do you really serve the most powerfully. Don't say you can help everyone. Similarly, don't say you can do everything in your business. Of course, you're not good at everything in your business. Why should you be? It's wild.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. That was heavy, but it was good. It was needed, but it was good. So I want to find out what's behind you. You've got some artwork back there. Yeah, you've got some artwork back there that seems to be significant. Tell us a little bit about how that works into what you're doing.
Yeah, so I've always loved sacred geometry. One of my favorite artists, he goes out into nature and he makes these like sacred geometry formations. Andy Goldsworthy. Oh, so cool. So like I have tattoos of like, spirals and
we see them.
Yes. Yeah. And in my office, I teach by the upward spiral growth curve. So, if you were on my website, my favicon my icon is a spiral. Like I go like, hey, it's a spiral. Remind yourself it's a spiral. I'm wearing spiral earrings. I have a spiral ring. Like I love spirals because that's how the world works. And when you remind yourself of that, when you're on the down, you go like, oh, I can't wait to see what the next up is, because I'm only going to be down for a period of time. And whatever that down is, it's helping me get to the next expansive version of myself. And so I love, reminding myself of that and teaching from that perspective. And then, podcasting. So in the background, you see my podcast, Inner Power Entrepreneur. Yeah. Podcasting is like my heart, my soul, my jam. I love being here with you. Like often I'm like, oh, like I'm working right now. Like, I don't feel like I'm working right now, right? I'm just having fun. And I feel like that when I'm podcasting. So it's so in alignment with my zone of genius, and it's my baby, you know, it's like, yeah, I love it so much. And then if you could see down, you know, I just have thousands of books. Like I love reading, I love learning. I'm a total nerd, and I geek out on everything law of attraction and business growth and coaching and helping people break through to the next level of themselves and feel really deep down good about who they are. It's like, you know, when I get to the core of what I really do, it's like help people love themselves is really the core.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
Now I know it makes you tick.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know, I think of business as a spiritual growth journey because it will bring up every dark, shadowy part of yourself as you build your business.
Well, that's
I think that's true too.
Go ahead, Jack.
I was going to say, I think that's true too. I think that I've been able to recognize some relationships I have with people are actually either positively or negatively affecting my business relationships. And when I can look at that, I go, that person kind of resembles that client. And I would not want to have that client in my business because they're going to bring me down. There's just going to be extra work and, you know, da, da, da. And sometimes that same relationship of a person can look like that, and I go, well then maybe I shouldn't have that to deal with either. So it is definitely learning how to, like you say, love yourself and value yourself, right? Value your time and your relationships and the people that are around you. Surround yourself with those people who are going to uplift you rather than bring you down, which is what you want the clients to do too. So there's some clients you have to drop, right?
Yeah.
Some clients you have to drop because they're just not working for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and your client, your business is an outer reflection of you. And so you'll notice that your clients will change over time as you change. And in who you work with, how you work with them. I mean, business, if you think about like sales, all sales is are you willing to promote what you have to the world? And do you feel confident about it? So the better you are at sales is a reflection of you being confident about the results you can get for people and knowing that it's a detriment to them if you don't share it with the world. So I always tell people you are water in the desert for someone who is dehydrated and starving and dying. I had someone on a consult yesterday say to me, "Oh my God, you're the answer to my prayers. Like, thank you for finding me." And it was through a cold email strategy, right? Like cold email. And then that's what she said. That's how you want the sales process to look like. And that's what I'm looking for. I don't want to sell to people who don't want to work with me. Law of attraction. Like, why would I force someone to work with me? Right. I want them to be attracted to what I have and go like, oh my God, this resonates at a deep level. I've been praying for you. I've been searching for you. You're the solution to my problems. And that comes from heart. That comes from me being able to show up and go like, here's what I have for you. If you don't like it, that's fine. I don't need to chase you. I don't need to talk you into it. If it fits, awesome. We resonate and we will create a win-win together. And so, you know, that takes practice, and it's not a practiced, you know, sales strategy. It's just practice loving yourself and knowing that what you have brings value to the world. So now you'd create a win-win equivalent exchange where you're bringing value and you're getting paid for it. That's equivalent exchange. That's a beautiful gift that you bring to the world. And the more money you make, the more value you're bringing.
That's right. You have some interesting business models too. And the one I was listening to another podcaster, we were talking about it, and during the pre-show is you put content out there and then people are attracted to it and they want to stick around and get more. And then that's when you get paid. Is that how that works?
Yeah, in big ways, I would say. So this year, right at the fourth quarter of 2023 is when we started doing cold email marketing and outreach that was like more paid for. Before that, I've built my entire business organically. So just through networking, word of mouth, podcasting. And so, you know, I teach people who are pre-six figures to do attraction-based business, because you often waste a lot of money on ads thinking like that's going to work. But if you don't know all those other parts first, you're just throwing money away. And so
creating content, right? Creating 12 weeks worth of content and put it out there and you think this is going to be the greatest. People are just going to come in droves and you get one or two people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
you've
you want
just
to do
spent,
market validation
right,
before you put something out there. Make sure you have buy-in before you create something. Get paid before you even make it.
make it, right.
And that took me time to learn too.
Yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah.
strange concept for a lot of people is,
Yeah.
they want to have everything in place and then they put it out there. But when I started developing curriculum for kids, I was doing it kind of a week at a time. So I would teach 1 week with a group of kids and I go, okay, what did we learn this week that now I can expound
Yeah.
upon next week? And so I would create the curriculum as we went along. And I was a little bit worried about that, thinking, how long can I keep this up? And am I doing this the wrong way? But it actually ended up being the right way because then I could actually see realistically how the time frame that the kids were progressing. So that if I had done it all up front and then put it out there, I would have had it all wrong because
Yeah.
this allowed me to learn as I went along what was
Yeah.
going to be the next logical step based on their ability to keep up with that. So,
Yeah.
and that's what I tell my clients now too, is like, you don't have to create your entire speech, but let's figure out what your message is. And then depending upon the audience you're speaking to, we create the speech for that audience
Smart.
but you just have to know your message.
Very
Right?
smart. You're making me think of the bigger picture of what you're talking about. It's same with goal setting. Like I see people set up all their goals at the beginning of the year and then 1 month in, everything changes. And then they're like, crap, I spent all this time planning out all the goal. Like it doesn't work that way. And here's why, because in manifestation, so 3-step manifestation, my roadmap for manifesting is 3 steps. Number 1, decide with clarity and certainty what you want. Number 2, take a step in the direction. Number 3, let the universe bring you opportunities. The thing that happens if you're one of those rigid people who thinks you have to know all the plans is you don't let the universe bring you opportunities because you're like, but I have my plan. Right. And the universe makes it way easier. Right. So it's like, so you don't need to overplan. Rumi says, as you take a step on the way appears. And that's exactly what you're talking about. As you take a step on the way, now you get feedback and you go, oh, here's what to create. Oh, now I got more feedback. Oh, here's what to create. And then easier opportunities come. And so you just keep having that easy experience instead of feeling like you have to hyper control. And there's all these deadlines and timelines and you put pressure and then you create resistance and then it doesn't happen on the timeline you want, So it's like, I teach how to set manifestation based goals, just like what you were saying. It's the same process. Like letting it unfold organically with some structure and with a vision of where you want to go, but you let the organic flow take on its own life force in a lot of ways.
Something that helped me with that was I was taught, those 3 steps, and then it's either going to be that or something better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that kept the door open and the flow. But there is a thing, and I've wanted to write about this for a long time, and now you just got my clock clicking, is the law of distraction, right?
Oh my God, that's so true.
Right? It always comes in and tries to avert or subvert or change direction, and you got to keep that focus. You got to know when to bring that back into a clarity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There's, I was reading something the other day and he called it like the way he stated it is different. I was like, what this is the paradox of success. I think he called it the paradox of clarity, but I think of it as the paradox of success. So when you have success, it's because first you're very clear about what you want. And so you have success. But then the problem with the paradox is now you get success. Now you get more opportunities. Now you start to get distracted. And now you can't even remember the initial clarity that got you to the initial success. And so just like you're saying, you got to eliminate distractions. You got to get clear, laser focused. I always tell entrepreneurs, narrow your focus to expand your freedom. Narrow your focus to expand your freedom. Because we put way too much on our plate. We have too many programs, too many products, too many services. And it's very hard to get to 6 figures when you have too many offerings. It doesn't work well. I have it time and time again. People come to me and when they work with me, I'm like, we're cutting this. And it's hard because it's like they're attached to it and there's a lot of FOMO around it. It's like, I'm telling you, you can get there a lot faster if you just sell one thing to get to 6 figures. And then once you get to 6 figures, diversify, sure. But like you need the focus at first.
Pull the dad routine.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. What would dad tell you?
What would dad say? Where should dad, what should I do, Dad?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, ladies, we're down to just a couple of minutes. Amanda, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back on the show because we just barely scratched the surface. I mean, this hour just went by like nothing.
It did. I love that.
Well, tell people how to find you, like your podcast, how they tune in, how they find your book, and how can they learn about working with you.
Podcast, Inner Power Entrepreneur. So just all the player platforms, Inner Power Entrepreneur. And we're about to do a limited series that's specific for coaches. I'm really excited. So they'll hear about it on Inner Power Entrepreneur. The book, they can get free chapters if they just go to IamAMoneyMagnetBook.com. IamAMoneyMagnetBook.com. So free chapter, or of course, buy the whole book. I have a really great mini course or short, like a masterclass called the Rapid Biz Growth Roadmap. So if they just go to rapidbizgrowthroadmap.com, they can get that there. So I'm giving a lot of CTAs. Let's overarchingly say, if you can't remember any of those, erase them from your mind, just go to Inner Power Daily. Everything is there. So Inner Power Daily.
Jackie will have them in our newsletter. So
yeah.
She's writing them down.
No. Thank you. Yes. And I mean, really, truly, like, I have a huge heart. Like I could, like when I've really been tapping into my heart energy lately. And it's like, when I talk about how much I love helping coaches, I get tears in my eyes because I'm like, I know what it feels like to care and really want to make an impact in the world. And I love to help coaches make money doing what they enjoy. I am driven because I think coaching is such an important gift that you can bring to the world. I mean, like, we do such cool stuff in the world. And so, you know, I am driven to help coaches succeed. And so, and I have a lot of tools, a lot of experience, a lot of strategies, and like, I will help you win. I mean, I'm like your advocate, your ally. So, you know, hang out with me, even if it's just for free on the podcast. That's a free thing I offer. I offer a lot of free stuff. And then I, of course, have paid for stuff. Just get into my world and you'll find all of it. And if this resonated today, then you'll love what I put out in the world.
Yeah.
Hang out with me sets the hook. Hang out with me. Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Can't stop. Oh, Jackie, I just saw the wheels are turning and you got a big smile on your face.
It's awesome. Amanda, you're so great. So, you know what? You are one of those people that illustrates exactly the type of thing that you're putting out there. So there's no inconsistencies. Everything is congruent. And so I'm certain that that's why you're successful.
Provable. Yeah. It's not all
Absolutely.
just a bunch of,
Absolutely.
Walks the talk, talks the walk.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Amanda. That's about all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed the show. My biggest hope is you'll tell a friend about the show, or at least tell them, hey, there's this YouTube channel with these really cool people that have some really cool people on that talk about some really cool stuff that will make a difference in my really cool life. There you go. Are you feeling really cool?
I'm feeling really cool.
So cool.
Lastly, please make it a great day, because it is all about choice. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to Life Mastery Radio. Join Todd Allen and Jackie Bailey and their guests of leading authors, speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific. Learn to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery through stories and messages to support your well-being and most evocative dreams. Visit their website, www.lifemasteryradio.com. Join their mailing list and be notified about upcoming guests. That's lifemasteryradio.com.